All right, welcome to Urban Pitch, the beautiful game of life. We have Ryann Torrero here today. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Ryann Torrero.
Torrero.
Close enough.
Okay, close enough. Torrero. All right, welcome. I'm going to give you a brief introduction to people out there.
Thank you.
So you are a professional goalkeeper, and you also do some modeling.
Yes.
And you're also in the fashion industry, you say?
Yeah, I definitely work in that area as well.
Okay, so let's tackle it like one at a time. Can you kind of
Okay.
go into your soccer background?
Yeah, so I'm from California, born and raised from LA. I played on a great club team. We were one of the best in the country called Real SoCal. We won championships outright, and then from there I got recruited to play college. I think growing up in LA, I was just sick of the traffic in the city and all the noise, and I really wanted to try something different. So I had a number of scholarship offers, and on a whim, I picked University of Wyoming.
Okay.
So I'm going from a city and state that's the most populated in the country to the least populated state where there's more buffalo than people.
Were you
So-
okay? Were you hoping to go out of state?
I did want to go out. I did want to go out of state. I wanted not just a great athletic experience, but I also wanted a collegiate experience as far as just traveling, seeing different people, being in a different culture. I had always been in LA, and I wanted something different. I've always kind of had that mentality about me to,
Okay. So
be
you weren't shooting for
uncomfortable.
like USC or UCLA, like as
Absolutely
when you were
not.
growing up?
I
Yeah.
did not. The only school that I liked was Pepperdine. That
Okay.
was local. I didn't like any of the Northern California schools. I
Okay.
talked to San Francisco. I talked to other schools, but I liked Pepperdine.
Is it because of the location and next to the beach and all that?
I liked the coach. The beach was cool, but I grew up here, so it was nothing new. But also, the person who trained me in Foyer was the goalkeeping coach there. So there
he
was an
was.
appeal to where I could train with him 4 or 5 days of the week, So I would progress at a faster pace than just training with him once or twice a week.
Okay.
But I preferred to go out of state and try something different. So,
So you were there at University
I went to
of
Wyoming.
And then,
I liked it. I had some issues with the coaching staff right before I went to preseason day one. My freshman year, about 2 weeks before, the whole coaching staff left. So
Okay.
the coaching staff,
completely changed.
the
the ones that
coaching staff
recruited you
I
and the
committed
ones you talked to, okay.
changed.
Okay.
I don't know, they went to another school. I think that, they just kind of moved. They had a life change. So I had a new coaching staff I had never met before, and they were great. Maybe wasn't necessarily someone that I would have committed to had I been recruited by them. So after 2 years, I decided to push my career further and move to Campbell University in North Carolina, which I loved, absolutely loved. Very, very small school, totally out of my element. Private school, Baptist Christian University. It's completely different than the LA lifestyle.
Okay. What area is that? Closer to like Charlotte area?
Right by Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were in the triangle. We were right by North Carolina State.
Yeah.
We had the Tar Heels there, Wake Forest, Wilmington, Duke. Yeah, so we played Virginia schools. We would play all those schools in, preseason tournaments and stuff, which was great for me, seeing a different type of soccer than just a West Coast kind of soccer.
Right.
Midwest, East Coast soccer is different, So it progressed my game.
Mm-hmm.
I met a lot of international players and a lot of international coaches, which ultimately later on helped me move internationally to go play.
It's all about connections, right? You gotta
Everything.
know people and right,
Everything in
yeah.
the world is connections and networking. You've got to be good, but you've got to know people as well.
Okay.
So, I just, I loved it. It developed my game, and it pushed me in a place where I wasn't really ready to go, which is a good thing. I grew. And then I had met someone who knew Anna Picarelli, who was on Pali Blues. So that connection led me to Pali under Charlie Naimo. Okay. So 2011, I trained with them for the last few games of their season, which then prepared me for the 2012 season in the summer. So then I joined Pali Blues in 2012. I was playing with Anna Picarelli, the other keeper, and we had
How was
some
that?
great players.
It seems like, Pali Blues, most of the top college players in California, maybe, or have gone through Pali Blues.
Yeah.
And it seems like Pali Blues just runs over all the other teams. So was it fun? Like 4-0, 5-0 every game? That's
I
what it seemed
completely
like.
agree with you. That's pretty much what happens.
Yeah, you guys ran over
Yeah.
everybody, right?
Yeah.
And almost every year you guys are winning a championship.
Yes.
So is that fun?
Well,
It's not competitive.
No.
Okay, it's not competitive.
if I look back at the
Yeah.
games that I've played throughout my career and I just close my eyes and imagine them, it's never those games that I see. It's always the games that are, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1,
Right.
even 3-2, where it's a back and forth game. Those are the games that you remember. So from a fun perspective, no, it's not the best.
Okay.
You want to play against a team that competes with you. It makes you better.
Yeah.
But from just a resume building standpoint,
Yeah.
it's a good thing. So
Okay. Is it because California has a lot of girl soccer players growing up in this area, and then Pali Blues just happened to be the only kind of competitive team during that history of soccer? Is that why so many top-notch players went through Pali Blues?
I think that California has one of the best developmental leagues and mentalities for women's soccer,
Okay.
men as well. But primarily, there's so many phenomenal female athletes coming out of here. We also have some of the best female universities, women's teams. You have UCLA, USC, Pepperdine. You have the San Diego schools. You have California schools. You have San Francisco, Berkeley, Stanford. And then up the West Coast even, you have good schools. So California has always been a hotbed and a hot pocket for women's soccer. Our national team trains here. That's a big thing. If they're here, you can watch them. You have more little girls dream about it, want to do it, train hard for it, So I also think Charlie Naimo is a phenomenal recruiter.
Really?
That has a lot to do with it.
What's his recruiting pitch like?
I don't know. I don't know. I think he knows a lot of people and he's just, he's going to make you better.
Okay.
And he's just a really good recruiter. Sometimes people they just have it. I can't really explain it.
Comes
but
across the right way, like, I want to play on this team.
Yeah, he's going to make you better. He's going to push you. He's going to be competitive. You're not going to get away with anything. There's no laziness that's going to be allowed. And as a competitive player, that's what you want.
Okay.
So, So I think that those two combinations created Pali Blues and the dynasty that was Pali Blues.
Okay. Yeah. And then after, well, they're no longer around. So then where did your career
folded.
go from there?
So after Pali folded, there were two. LA Strikers was one of the better options. So a lot of the Pali girls actually transferred out to LA Strikers. Shauna, we had Rachel Daly, we had Sydney Vermillion, who actually played in Switzerland as well. And, we had some really great players from England come over, Rachel, Laura Coombs. So that team developed, and Tracy Kevins was the coach of that team. I know a lot of people will say this as well. Tracy Kevins is one of the best coaches out there, hands down. The knowledge that I gained from playing under her was immeasurable compared to other coaches.
It's interesting you say that because I would have thought, because goalkeeping position is so individual, right? It's so specialized that you wouldn't really say that about just kind of like a head coach.
Because you're not really connected with them on a day-to-day practice, situation. I agree. We do train on our own. We're always kind of, kicked over to the goalkeeping pit and we do our own thing and then come in when they're shooting or it's time to play. And
I'm ready for you now, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
We need someone to shoot on, right?
Exactly. Just go stand in there and fly around. No, but I think it's I didn't work with her very much on a practice by practice, place, but just the way that she wrapped her words and the way that she formulated her sentences around issues that we needed to fix in the game during halftime, before and after games, her motivational skills were phenomenal. Right. She was able to make the team a unit, and we bonded really well. It's just, as a coach, it's not just one thing. You can be a really good technical trainer and not be able to bring a team together. You can be a really good motivator and not know what the heck you're doing tactically. Right. But I personally, my opinion, she really encompassed everything. Okay. And I saw myself excel playing for her. And a lot of players from that team went forward to do great things. I mean, Rachel Daly is doing phenomenal. Right. She smashed her collegiate season after that.
Yeah, she was a high draft pick. She was like pick number 4 or
at St. John's from pick number 4. I think 4 or 6.
Yeah, 4 or 6,
Can't remember what number, but so that was a great season. We actually took second in the conference, unfortunately. But then from there, I got recruited because we did so well, and I had met a lot of international players and just networking, and I actually had a couple offers to play overseas. And I decided, instead of continuing to play in USA, I'd rather take the experience, the chance, go see a different type of football in another country. So
what are all the different countries that you've played in abroad so far?
So competitively, I've played mostly in Switzerland, and then I went up and spent a little bit of time with SC Freiburg in Germany. And that was a great experience. That was a very tough experience. They were very fast. It was
the game is fast?
Fast game at Freiburg. Very fast game.
Okay. How does that affect a goalkeeper so much?
You got to be on your toes every second. A shot can come off at any moment.
So it's kind of like EPL where shots over here and all of a sudden 10 seconds later the shot's over here and then comes back. It's like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and you can't, a shot can come in any second. Those girls can hit a ball 40 yards on target.
So they're not.
Where they want.
Right. So they're not doing this intricate building up a play and taking 45 seconds for the shot to come out and you can see it happening.
I've always respected Germany's game though. Okay. They built up pretty well. I would say that Switzerland was actually more of a big ball game, and maybe England is more of a big ball game.
Okay.
But when I played with the German team, everything we did in training was very technical, very small spaced, very fast paced, 1-2 touch only. Right. And that's part of the reason why their game was so quick. They're training in small spaces. They're playing quickly 1-2 touch passes here and there before they get a shot off. Right. They don't take the dribble, the showman route down the field.
Yeah. They don't. They're not trying to do like Neymar type moves, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
How well respected are female players, pro players especially, in Switzerland and Germany and where you played at?
I think it depends on how well known and respected the league is, the men's league, not the female league.
Okay, so Bundesliga is
the Bundesliga is one of the best in the world.
Okay, and not only is it one of the best in the world, but did you know that they average the highest attendance per game in the entire world?
For men or women?
For
men, yeah.
The average attendance for Bundesliga is higher than any league.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
so let's compare
just look at Borussia Dortmund's stadium, which electrifying. But no, so I think a lot of it depends on how, at least in my experience, how well respected and well known the men's league is. Okay. So if you're playing for Wolfsburg or you're playing for Freiburg or München or whatever, and people know the men's side, then they're automatically gonna go, oh wow, that's so cool. There's a female team.
So the respect will translate over to the women's
exactly.
side.
Same in England. You have Lady Arsenal, you have Chelsea, you have Liverpool.
Okay.
And the respect kind of transfers over. In Switzerland,
their domestic leagues on the men's side is not like
it's just not well known. There are some teams like FC Basel. You have Zurich. These are two teams that make it into UEFA Champions League on the men and women's side all the time. Mm-hmm. So not Basel so much anymore. We beat them. But no. So people know those two teams internationally. But your smaller teams like Gatesy, Young Boys, Lucerne, they don't really know these teams. So in those areas, when you say you're a professional athlete as a female, one, their eyes are shocked. They're shocked.
Even in Europe, huh?
Yeah. Okay. And then you say, what team you're on, and if they don't know your team, they're even more shocked because they didn't even know that was possible. But definitely in Germany and England, and I think maybe in Italy, you have Roma females. You're a lot more maybe well known and respected. It's not such a shock factor, so.
And how long were you in each respective country?
So I was in Switzerland for the 2013-2014 season.
Okay. So was it almost a year that you were there?
Over a year, yeah.
Over a year, okay.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
How was the lifestyle there?
The Swiss are an interesting breed of people.
Okay.
They're very welcoming and kind. Some of the nicest people I've ever met. But they're peculiar because the Swiss, they definitely have a culture, but it's such a small country surrounded by giant countries, Germany, Italy, France, that those cultures kind of bleed into the Swiss culture. Okay. And the Swiss culture is a blend. It's a complete blend. So you're in northern Switzerland and it's very Deutsch inspired. You're in, Western Switzerland and it's French inspired. The language is French. In Lausanne, Lucerne, and Basel, it's French. You go to Lugano in South Switzerland and it's a cross between Italian and it's just, they're peculiar because they're a blend from, all these different countries around them. So I think maybe sometimes they're a little confused. Okay.
So it might be kind of like, it sounds kind of like LA where you're kind of going through West LA and then you go to maybe,
Exactly.
yeah,
It
certain
changes. You have
different
so many
neighborhoods.
different cultures that there's no identity, that people are kind of mixing and trying to understand the other people all the time and where they're from, what their background is. But it's interesting at the same time, because in one country you can experience 3, 4, 5 different cultures, and you're in the same country, and it's tiny.
So then describe like a typical day or week when you were there and you were on the team. Okay.
Yeah.
Like how much are you training, and then how much are you sightseeing, and that kind of thing.
Sightseeing is pretty rare.
Okay. You just didn't have the time?
I'm sorry?
You didn't have the time?
Well, yeah, we just didn't really. I mean, if you have an off day as an athlete, and when you're training, 5 days a week, and then you're playing 1-2 days a week, depending on
You
your
don't have time
schedule.
to just
Well,
kick
you have
off.
a Sunday afternoon off, and you're like, I got to do laundry. I'm going to eat. I want to relax. Every once in a while, when there's World Cup qualifiers or breaks or national, pools, we'll have a week or two of a gap. You can take the opportunity to actually go see something, which is awesome. It's part of the reason why you want to go to these different countries.
How long was the season for?
So the season was about 8 to 9 months. And then you had but it was broken up. So in Switzerland, it's very, very cold during the winter months, and they don't really have a lot of indoor places, so they would have to shut down the season during the snow months. Okay. So for December and January, you had nothing.
Okay. Are you training during that time too?
They give you a training plan. Okay. You have the option to stay with the team, or you can go home and see your family. Okay. And since the team was so international, a lot of them would go home to see their family.
What did you do?
I went to England.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a friend.
Oh, so you stayed with a friend.
Yeah, I have a friend there. She plays on Chelsea at the time. Okay. So I went to England, and I have some other friends there that I know that play as well. And I went and saw some of the matches out there, pro matches in the Premier League. So I decided to take advantage of being out there and see some football in some other countries. Okay,
so it sounds like they take it pretty seriously, though, right? You're training like 5 days out of the week, and
so,
then you get a day off, and then 1 day for
So
games.
A typical week, you have, first of all, Monday is usually a recovery day. Sunday to Monday is recovery day, depending on when your game was. If it was on a Saturday, Sunday is your recovery day. If it was on a Sunday, Monday is your recovery day. So Monday is usually recovery in the morning. So you'd go to a massage therapist.
That sounds pretty good. I can get down with that.
It's great until it's an athletic massage, and then it's no
Sports
joke.
massage is different, right? Yeah. I'm imagining in my head like a nice blonde Swedish woman.
Peaceful music, hot stones on your back.
Yeah, I can get with that.
You know what? I would go every single day if that were the case. But
that's not it?
No.
Okay, so they're like breaking you down.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of all that buildup, that fluid buildup in your muscles.
And get rid of all that. Okay.
It's not fun.
Okay.
But
all right, so that's okay. Destroyed my.
You feel like a noodle after, so it's a good thing. It's a good for a bad. But no, so we would go to a massage therapist, and he would kind of work out the soreness that we gained through the weekend and built up through the weekend, and then we'd have a Monday recovery practice on Monday evening.
It's kind of like a loose
yeah, just play a lot, not really, maybe shoot a little bit, not really anything too strenuous, no fitness, nothing too strong for the mental side, just kind of recover. Okay. Tuesday, back at it. So Tuesday, we would have weightlifting in the morning, athletic training, as they would say, up north.
Okay.
So
what time is that at?
We'd go about 9 or 10 a.m.
What time
to about noon.
were you waking up?
It depends how quick, if you needed the sports med room or not. Okay. So if you had to do some kind of physical therapy, you'd obviously be in there before. Okay. But we usually wake up, have breakfast, go to training. Okay.
And how's the housing then? Is it on your own, or did a team hook you up and you find do you have roommates? How did that?
Right. So when you're, unless you're making a significant amount of money per season, to afford housing, your travel, food, it starts to add up. Okay. So a lot of times, and this is what the Women's Pro League here in USA does. They do it in England and Germany. They house you. So they either have host families, host families, which I was with a host family who I'm still very close with. You form relationships with a lot of times with these people.
Who's the host family? Let's give a shout out to the host family.
He is about 80 years old and from Hamburg, Germany, and his name is Dieter. Okay. So how did he become? But we became best friends.
Yeah, how did he become a host? Like, if I'm an 80-year-old guy, and it sounds like he didn't have a wife, I'm okay with nice, hot, female players coming and staying with me, and I don't know, I'm sure it was, proper and all that, but he's got nothing else going on.
He was a sweetheart. He used to play with the owner of the club.
So he's connected through that.
So
and
a
he's
lot
a fan
of times,
the sport.
right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's people who either have had previous athletes playing for it, or they're a family friend or a previous teammate of one of the managers, owners, or sponsors or whatnot. It's just all through connections.
Okay, so he lived by himself and he had like a house with a couple extra rooms or
Yeah,
something?
exactly.
Okay.
So he would house, one or two of us, which was awesome. Or they would do a community apartment. So the club would rent out or purchase, depending on, what the club decides.
So
an
was
apartment.
it your choice? Was it your choice to stay there
I preferred staying with a host family instead of just living with the apartment for two reasons.
Okay.
One, I'm with these girls every day, all day long, traveling 9 hours on the
You want a
road.
break, yeah.
I really like to get out and have a break. Two, living with a host family, not just with your other international teammates, you were able to see a part of the culture from a normal sense that you didn't really get to experience if I'm just in a house with my teammates.
Okay.
So, I would go to his local market with him and help him shop on a Sunday morning if I didn't have a game,
Did they think you were like his granddaughter or something?
Sometimes, except I don't look like him at all. Typical blonde hair, blue-eyed German. But
plus you're tall. How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay, and how tall is the gentleman?
He was about 6 foot. Yeah.
Okay. So you could pass for his granddaughter.
Yeah.
From another country that he was hiding all the time.
But yeah, so he, I just got to see a different side of the culture and get to know someone from there who grew up there on a personal level, which made my experience more enriched, in my opinion.
Awesome.
So I loved it. And I now have a friend, who, if I go back and visit, which I do every year, I go a couple times a year to Europe. I drop in and say hi.
He's like a grandfather figure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Dieter's awesome.
All right, so you're staying at a host family, and then you're having training. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays, that's when it starts to get
Yeah,
the
you
grind.
pick up and then you peak down and then you
Okay.
have the game. That's usually that's a solid training plan. So we would do, sports training and then athletic training, the gym, and then team training Wednesday, another recovery in the morning just to balance you out in a very hard Wednesday session.
How many hours is this per day?
I would say about 4 to 6 hours of actual training a day, including, sports med room, physical therapy, whether it's massage or the gym, athletic workout, and then the team training on the field, goalkeeping training before that or after it. Okay. I would say about 6 average hours a day. Sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the day, but it can compare to a certain extent to a part-time or full-time job.
Sure.
I mean, there's not much time you have. You have a couple hours in between. Really, that's just lunch, relax, take a shower, and you're back on the field.
Okay.
So
then afterwards, like in the evening time, what are you doing? You're in a foreign country. You're thousands of miles away from home. It's
going to bed because I have training in the morning.
Really? For the most part?
Well, we play on the weekends. We would usually play on a Friday or Saturday, sometimes a Sunday, depending on the team schedule. But so as far as going out is concerned and really experiencing the night side of the country, you don't get a huge experience of it. Sometimes if you have a day off, you go out for a movie or dinner with your teammates or whatnot. But for the most part, I mean, in season, you're in season, and when you're off season, you're either seeing your family, wherever that may be, or you're trying to recover from an injury, whatever that may be, or you're taking advantage and going to sightsee a little bit. So in season, just like a collegiate season here, I mean, that's your job. It's your job at the end of the day. You may not be getting a huge check, as a female, but you're still getting paid.
Yeah, you're treating it like a professional.
Absolutely. So
did you have a part-time job? 'Cause sometimes they do that, right? Usually not during in season.
It depends. Right? Yeah, in season you can't. You travel so much.
Right.
Every the weekend you're out of the city and on the road. But the American girls, if you're in country, so if you're American playing in the American League, if you're German playing in the German League or England, a lot of those athletes do have to have a part-time job to support them playing.
Right, subsidize their career, right?
Exactly. Yeah. If you're a foreign athlete, international player, you usually don't because you have to go through the whole process of a work visa.
Right. Options are much
H1,
more limited.
It's just so difficult. They might help you out with, you might help out at the physical therapy room after, but you really, You really
It's
can't.
like a work study program, like when you're in college, if
Yeah.
there's anything available,
Right.
the team will kind of help you out with
Right,
something, right?
right. But
Okay.
usually you can't, because then you can't just have a player's visa. You've
Yeah.
got to have a work visa, and that's a whole nother ballgame.
Okay.
You know, and for the club to pay for that on top of your expenses, it starts to become a money game also. So a lot of times internationally, unless you have a dual visa,
It's just not feasible.
it's just not feasible. Exactly.
Okay. So how long were you in Germany for then?
I was only in Germany for about a couple months.
Okay. But you did get to play a little bit, you said.
Yeah, I went up to SC Freiburg and I trained with them. It was a great experience. That was probably one of the better teams that I've ever played on.
Was that just training only?
Yeah,
or
I just went over there and trained.
Was it during their season?
I wasn't able to play in the season.
Okay.
I was already mid-season.
Okay.
Everybody was already rostered. I had gone up there at the closing end of their season to train and prepare for the following year.
Okay.
So I loved it. The girls were so welcoming. The game was so fast. Freiburg is beautiful, totally different culture than Switzerland, you know. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot from playing with them.
Okay.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
So then,
in the Black Forest.
So that's the country that it sounds like you would want to go back to?
I would love to go play in Germany. I would also love to go play in some of the Nordic countries.
Okay.
I've heard great things about Sweden. I've had a lot of teammates go and play in Sweden, and they've said that they love the league. Swedish people are generally very happy and welcoming. So that's a league I would love to play in. I would love to play in the Australian League. I've heard some great things about them from Sasha Andrews and other players who have gone down and play there. These are probably the two leagues that I would like to play in, as well as Germany.
Okay.
The three, excuse me. So yeah, we'll see though. We'll see what's to come in a year.
Right. Okay.
So
What are you up to now then?
So
You were telling me about the accident that you were just recently involved in, right? You want to just kind of briefly tell us?
yeah. So I played with Santa Clara Blue Heat, which is now the only USL women's team in California.
Right.
We just wrapped up our season in July.
Successful season.
National championships.
Yeah.
Yep. And in September, I got in a pretty terrible car accident. I was coming on the 101 freeway southbound after coaching. I was running a session, and I was with my coworker, my co-coach, and friend. And we were driving down the 101 and the freeway in the fast lane, and an individual in a car up ahead, I hadn't seen this happen, but they had been pulled over for speeding by a CHP officer. They pulled to the left fast lane instead of to the right slow lane, emergency shoulder. So they're right by the center divider. And the officer pretty much told him, I mean, this is not a safe place for you to be. You need to get back on the freeway and get to the slow shoulders. You can't be in the center divider stopped here.
Right.
So I come around the corner, come around the freeway bend, up the Camarillo grade, and they drove, instead of gaining appropriate speed, merging over with your clicker, excuse me, they just drove straight across the freeway perpendicular to all the lanes.
Right.
So I come around the bend, and so lucky that I didn't T-bone them, and hit them dead on. I turned my wheel. No, I hit them, and I'm so lucky, thankful that I reacted quick enough, and I was paying attention, not changing music,
You
and
weren't on your phone?
I was not. I had two hands on the wheel, which I'm usually changing music.
Right.
Really weird.
6 and 9,
Everything happens for a reason, I'm telling you. So I hit him, and I went my driver tire to their passenger tire. I missed her in the passenger seat by only a few inches.
It was a horrific accident, right?
It was pretty traumatic and awful.
Your car flipped in the air.
It acted as a ramp. I hit him kind of on a diagonal, and I flipped clear over the top of their car, Fast and Furious style.
Right.
And I can joke about it now, but it was not funny then.
For sure.
And
That's what comedy is, by the way.
Yes, comedic relief.
Yeah. No. But comedy is tragedy plus time.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never thought about that concept.
Yeah, think about it.
I like that.
Yeah, it'll go in more later.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's what comedy is.
Unfortunately, that's an unfortunate thing for comedy to exist then.
It is, yeah. Well, you take the most traumatic things, the saddest things in life, you add time to it, and then you laugh, and it's hilarious later.
Wow, that's really, I've never thought about that concept. I don't know. I like it, but...
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so I ramped over him, Fast and Furious.
Yeah, Fast and Furious, and you said your car flipped like in the air?
I was in the air.
So,
our wheels, we were bottom up, wheels right over.
Did your passenger, so then right before you hit the car, did you guys like both scream or something, or was it too fast? You guys didn't have time to
It was way
react?
too fast. When we came around the bend, I had maybe 30 feet to see it.
That's the whole European playing experience kicking in right there with a 30 meter.
Yeah.
The American Idol would be like, how far was that? So how far was that? I don't even know. 90
centimeters.
Feet? Yeah, was it 100 feet then, or what?
No, it was very close.
Okay.
I would say if we're talking football here,
Yeah.
about 30 yards.
30 yards. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, it was really close. I had no time. I mean, I came around a bend and he was there.
Right.
You know, we rolled 3-4 times, and
Yeah,
we landed
really-
on what was left of the tires, and
Yeah.
my car was just demolished, and all the windows were blown out, and
Yeah.
we had no time to react. All I did, you know, was just think, hold on, just don't let go, and thank God we had our seatbelts on.
Yeah.
You know, so otherwise we would have been ejected. Like everything else was in my car was ejected. Everything in the center console and glove compartment was gone. My phone was thrown 30, 40 feet from the car. So, and survived.
Did you your phone?
Made it.
Are you still using the same phone?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh my gosh.
You see the crack?
What is it, iPhone or what?
Yep.
Did you have a case on it?
No, I did not.
You didn't? Oh my
Nope.
gosh.
And we didn't have a scratch on us, not a bruise.
Right.
The other people, not a scratch. Visible, not a bruise.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Car got totaled, but thank goodness iPhone's okay, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What would I do?
Right. No,
Getting
so
off the
then-
grid is nice.
Yeah. So then, did your life flash before your eyes, by the way?
Absolutely.
It did.
Yeah.
Because I got
It's a
into
thing. It's a real thing.
really bad, scary kind of car accident on the freeway one time, and my life flashed before my eyes as well.
For me,
Yeah.
I think
Didn't
it's
you think you were gonna die then? Because once
did.
your life flashes before your eyes like that,
That's it.
and all these
You-
memories, you
that's it.
automatically assume
Yeah.
like I'm dead for sure, right?
well, that's something that, you know, trauma is interesting because, and I've learned this through a traumatic experience. It's not really, and you have no idea what you're going through in the moment. Your body and your mind and your soul is just in complete shock.
Yeah.
And trauma is something that you really feel the repercussions of what you go through after. And it could be a month after, 5 years after. Some people have an episode years after, you know? So I absolutely thought I was gone. And without a doubt, I saw people that I care about, you know, flash, and I saw memories, and,
What,
you know.
did any childhood memories or whatever stand out in your head?
You know, I think just there were some, and it's so fast.
It's more like images, just like
Yeah, it's so fast. It's so hard to pick it out. For
Okay.
me, it was less specific images and more just an emotion, a feeling
Feelings.
of, I
All
can't
the
believe
things,
this. Like
yeah. It's gonna end like this.
yeah, it's got to go
Yeah.
like this. You know, I can't really believe that I have so much left to do.
Right.
You know, my family. It was just all of that wrapped up in 1 millisecond of emotion. And then, you know, you have to kind of, in this situation, you got to just deal with it. And then I told myself, hold on, like, do not let go. And I did. And we came out alive, which
Right.
is a miracle, truly.
It is a miracle, right?
Yeah.
Just a fraction to the left or right or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could have.
Yep.
Everyone could have
Anything.
died.
Car could have hit us when we were rolling.
So there
I
were
mean,
you
who
and your
knows?
passenger, the two in the other car,
Yes.
and then everyone's okay. Wow, it's a miracle.
No, truly a miracle. My coworker and co-coach, she got knocked out. She sustained a concussion and
She
back
was-
injuries as
okay,
well.
So she was unconscious.
She doesn't remember anything until we landed, and I actually, you know, the second we landed, I was shocked that I was still, you know, breathing, and then I, you know, yelled, "Are you okay?" to her. My concern was her, you know,
Was
because
the car
I couldn't
upside
hear
down?
her.
Was the car upside down at this
We
time?
landed upright.
You landed
We
upright.
landed
okay.
correctly.
So then,
Yeah.
after you got your bearings,
My bearings,
you made
exactly.
sure you were alive. and
Right,
you
in
looked
one
at your friend.
piece.
Yeah.
I made sure she was okay, and
Okay.
I started talking to her, asking her if she was okay, because her eyes were open and she seemed conscious, but she doesn't remember any of it.
Okay.
Nothing.
So then,
It's crazy.
part of the police was already right there.
Yeah.
So then did he turn on his light so that
Yeah.
another car isn't going to come and hit you guys?
Yep. That's my primary witness, the CHP officer. And then the whole freeway shut down. I mean, there was no driving. There were fragments of car everywhere. There was no driving at that point. And everybody behind who saw it, I mean, we had people stop because and run to the car because it was such
saw
a
it.
horrific thing to see and watch happen. I mean, you don't know what happened to these people. And I had, you know, this guy named Manny, he literally sprinted to the car and was, you know, are you okay? Are you okay? Screaming in the car. And so that's another witness. But he, so it's just the fact that we stepped out of it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Life is crazy.
So your life perspective must have
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, Steve Jobs has this one. I mean, he has a lot of good, thought-provoking type of statements. But one thing that he said was, you know, because he went through, you know, cancer right before he did pass away, right? And then it remission. But during that time, it allowed him to put the things into perspective that he really cares about and reflect, right? And he just said, if there's anything that helps you to really show you what you really care about and what priorities are, is that kind of experience.
Yes,
so that must have happened for sure, right?
Absolutely. When in the days after, I reached out to the people that I know I care about and are important in my life, and told them what happened, and just informed them that, you're probably going to hear and everything's okay, and, very lucky. But it also brings forth people from out of the woodwork that you wouldn't really expect. And I think everybody's experience and realization is different. I personally am very lucky. I've accomplished my dreams at a very young age. I climbed the ladder to the top and played pro soccer, and that's what my goal was, and then I've traveled, and I've really been someone who does what I want when I want to do it. I don't, if I want to travel or if I want to have an experience, I do it. So as far as the regret, I didn't have, but it was more for me a relationship sense where I felt compelled to do better in my relationships, whether it be friendships, romantic, family, any kind of work relationship. I felt compelled after the fact, and people were coming out and reaching out to me, to make it a point to reach out to them also, to better develop those relationships that I maybe have took for granted or have taken for granted in the last, couple of years. You lose sight of people who played such an important role in your life, and you don't necessarily have to be best friends with them every day and see them every day, but showing a greater appreciation for these people, it's better for your soul, for theirs, and that's something that I realized that I can and should do better. And it was really, really grounding for me. I mean, it really shakes you,
Yeah, it hasn't
it's
been 2 months.
life-changing.
Yeah, it hasn't been 2 months,
not
right?
at all.
Yeah, I'm sure every day you wake up and it still affects you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason, good and bad. And we just don't know it yet. But if anything, if that's all I take from this, then that was my reason, and I'm happy for it, because it's pushed me to be a better person. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're kind of injured right now, right?
Yeah, so I sustained, no visible injuries, no life-changing.
Nothing to the face either,
yeah.
right? That's gonna mess up your
Thank
modeling
God.
career, right? Yeah.
No, but I didn't have any actual life-changing injuries, which I'm so lucky for.
Yeah.
But I definitely have some back injuries and knee injury that's resurfaced now because of it. So, I've got tissue tearing and straining and muscle tearing through my back, and I'm in physical therapy a couple times a week, 3-4 times a week now. And it's just a day-by-day process. As far as playing is concerned, competitively at a high level, dealing with a season right now, I could not. I will get there. I think I have the determination to get there, and I have to play again. It's in my blood.
So that's your goal, though, is to heal and get back and then back to the playing field.
Ultimately, if I can get this healed within a shorter time frame than I've been told, I would love to go play, and I want to go play overseas again. In one of those countries, I'm also considering Iceland, so definitely want to go play again. I can't look too far ahead because I have to focus on my recovery now, because it's not just a recovery for playing an accident like this. It's different than just a broken leg or a broken arm. This is an internal tissue injury. This is something that can affect you for 20 years down the line. So my recovery, although for me in the back of my mind is for soccer, it's really for my future. I have to take care of my back at this point. Right. So yeah.
And you're just a keeper for sure, right? You don't play out on the field?
I love the field, and I swear they should put me up top. I would score a couple corners. I'm fearless in corners. That's my job. Okay. So I push my teammates all the time.
So you're secretly a forward in the body of a goalkeeper?
Pretty much. No, I actually played on the field until I was 14, 15.
Okay. So what made you make that transition?
I was really tall. Yeah. And
just threw you back there.
And our keeper on my little club team, my youth club team, had gotten injured. Okay. And we didn't have a keeper, and I was really tall and kind of fearless, as far as getting into tackles and stuff. So he just said, go for it. And I love the pressure. I don't know, something about the pressure.
So you enjoyed the pressure.
I love it.
Okay, that's interesting. That's the thing that I probably would hate the most, as a non-keeper.
But that's why keepers are just weird.
They're a different breed,
you
right?
Have a couple screws loose.
Yeah, you have to be a different breed, right?
Absolutely.
Because you could just sit there for 80 minutes and you just grill for 5 seconds.
2-second chaos.
And everyone hates you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that as well. Oh, there are so many phenomenal articles from top keepers. I'm talking I'm talking Kahn, Neuer, top level goalkeepers, talking about what it takes mentally, the mental capacity and strength it takes to be a keeper.
The psychological aspect of the game
is
for
totally
a goalkeeper.
different.
Yeah, it's different from a regular player. Yeah. It might be comparable.
You have to self-love. You do, because
give me an example of what you mean by that.
You really have to have a restart button,
Okay.
something that, I grew up learning from Ian Foyer, but you have to also self-love and self-appreciate, because like you just said, you can make one mistake. You can have a great season.
Yeah.
Think about what was the keeper in the World Cup, Green, the English keeper.
Okay.
Great season. Yeah. Phenomenal keeper. National team keeper. Makes one mistake, goes through his legs. Done. Right. He's ostracized by football players around the world. Yeah. I mean, it's De Gea was almost was pounded and hounded on, for not being strong enough, experienced enough for the Premier League when he moved to United. How do you think he got through that? Of course, he probably had support from his teammates and his coach, but to a certain extent, you have to have confidence in yourself as a keeper, regardless of what anybody says about you. Because
move on, right?
If there's one thing that's sure about goalkeeping, and this is I love this concept, but if there's one 100% sure thing about goalkeeping, it's that you will fail.
Yeah,
you will get scored on.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to have shut out every game, right?
Not at all. For your entire career, it is impossible for you to have a shutout. So if you go into the position knowing you're going to fail, who does that? Yeah. So you have to have the mental strength and capacity and the self-love to willingly go do that and then deal with it and then come back and do better, so it's
sometimes it's not even your fault.
Sometimes it's not even your fault.
A lot of times, right? It's like the defense that let the forward all the way through,
exactly.
And then the one-on-one shot, and then everyone hits you.
Right. Okay. But there's also a lot of glory in being a goalkeeper as well, which, it's a position of very, very high highs and very, very low lows. So.
Do you like PK situations?
Oh, penalties. Why does everybody ask this?
Because I'm so curious, because non-keepers have no idea what's going on the other side. I only know from my perspective.
Penalties.
Yeah. Let's put aside just like PKs at the end of a game, penalty shootouts.
Right.
How about those situations?
So a penalty shootout for, let's say, a national championship?
Whatever games, something like that. Whatever, because they're usually only happen in these large tournaments.
Right,
significant games.
Season games, you don't have them.
Yeah, you don't have them. So, I don't think you look forward to it, but how are you feeling in those situations?
Obviously, you want to win the game in regulation. Okay. That is the ultimate goal. Okay? That's the most stress-free, happy goal. Okay.
So you're not secretly hoping that it ends in a 1-1 tie so that you can be the star and save the
That's a striker's mentality.
I don't know.
That's a forward mentality. They want all the
is.
glory and they want it to go their way for their glory. That's a striker's mentality. No, I think when you go into a penalty shootout, the advantage is with the advantage is with the forward in that scenario. In real game time, I would argue different. The advantage is with the keeper.
In a regular game?
In a regulation game, in real game time, I would argue that the advantage is with the keeper. Because
of the whole psychological thing? Because you have nothing to lose, whereas they're expected to score?
Not in the penalties, but I'm talking in regulation. You have angles working with you, pressure. Right. Penalties, different. Totally opposite.
For sure. Every shot, there's less chance it's going to go in than a score.
Right, exactly. Sure. In the penalties, it's different. You go into it knowing that the forward and the shooter has the advantage. Yeah. So that's already defeating as is. Okay. But at the same time, there's a sense of freedom and lightness, because all you can do is save it. And you only really, there's a joke in the goalkeeping world, just save one. Like your job, just get one.
Yeah, you have 5 chances.
So you have 5 chances and you just got to get one out of 5. Right. It's not great, but it's not 1 out of 10. It's not 1 out of 15,
20%.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
that's what you go into thinking?
Well, you got to get one. And if you can just get one, you've done your job. And there's a sense of, I can only save this. I can only do well for my team because at the end of the day, they have the advantage. Yeah. And there's a lot of other things that can help give you confidence. You learn players as you play them through season. Maybe you've seen them take a penalty before. Right. You remember where they're going. There's pregame analysis. You definitely going into any tournament game where there's any semifinal, quarterfinal, or final. You go into it studying what the other players are going to do, where they generally take penalties, and then there's tricks, if they're right-footed and they line up this way, they're likely to go that way. And there are tricks and everything, and you can, but at the end of the day, they are very close. You're very small when you're on the line, so you go into it, at least I do, just get one. Get one. You get one, you really knock down the confidence of the other team. Yeah. And it starts to go your way.
Do you have any rituals? Like Hope Solo's got some rituals.
Like left, right first, and
then not only that, she takes her sweet time, right?
Yes, she does.
Messes with her water bottle, jumps around, intimidates. I'm like, I would be intimidated to take it by the time she's ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, I could see because it's all psychological, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's very, very psychological.
Do you do that too? Do you try to like?
Oh man, sometimes these things are so mindless that you don't realize what you do. I know before games, I always have to touch the crossbar.
Okay.
And I can't touch the bottom. I gotta touch the top of it.
Okay.
I don't know why.
What about before a PK?
Before a penalty?
Do you have any specific things?
I do take my time. Okay. I do not go on the line until I'm ready. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's not like the referee can say, "Hey, like get,"
No.
They don't say anything, right?
No.
Yeah. So you can take 30 seconds, a minute, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I definitely take my time.
Yeah. You make yourself big and all that.
Yeah, I would say that I really like to just look at the player in the eyes if they'll look at me and just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I never look at the keeper's eyes. I always avoid almost.
But if they do that, they're intimidated. That's a good thing.
That is true.
But yeah, it's more, I think for me in that, and when I'm in a penalty situation, I'm just really self-talking. Got to get one. Before the game, I definitely, put socks on first, shin guards a certain way, wrap it with certain pre-wrap.
And what's the rule now? Like, because you can move from side to side on the line now, right?
Can't come off the line.
You can't come off the line, but you can move side to side anytime,
of course.
right? But then, and as soon as they kick the ball, then you can come off the line.
Come forward. Yeah.
But then, do you do like what most keepers do and cheat a little, where you come off the line a little early? Every keeper does that. I've never seen a referee say, "Hey, like you came off a little early," right? But that's what the advantage you have to do, right? Come off the line and then cut the angle off.
Well, think about this from a safety perspective. Yeah. If you're diving on the line, what are you likely going to hit?
Yeah, the pole. Yeah.
Bang your head into the side post. So just from a safety perspective, you want to be off the line at least one step. Yeah. You cannot wait. You can't wait for them to shoot.
And then go forward.
Go forward because the shot's coming and you're not set yet. Yeah. You have to be set to get momentum to jump out before they shoot. I mean, golden rule in goalkeeping: be set before the shot.
Are you guessing? Do you have so then do you have a set
You can
way?
react or guess.
Do you react or do you guess?
I personally react.
You react. So you don't say I'm going to go right based on his or you know what I mean?
I personally react. That is a personal preference.
Really?
I personally react. Some keepers totally guess and just wing it.
So you guess. I mean, you don't guess.
I react. Yeah.
So then how if a person's lined up a certain way and then you have an intuition like it looks like he's going to go to my right. You still kind of, do you start scooting over a little bit?
No way, because then they'll play it the other way. A good player, and this is the higher you go, a good player will recognize if you're moving early and go the opposite direction.
Right.
They'll weight change you.
It's really tough, though, to do that.
It's hard.
Yeah.
If you're guessing, you cannot go early.
Yeah. Because
then they'll read you.
I've had a goalkeeper where they're slightly off to one side, and it's like totally throwing me off now. So I'm like, do they want me to go in the opposite direction? Or are they like it throws a mind?
That's exactly what they want to do to you.
Yeah, and then it's terrible when they're scooted in the direction that I was planning on going to. Yeah. So it's really narrow now. I'm like, damn, do I have to change my mind and go left now? Or do they know that? It throws me off.
That's a mind game.
Yeah, do you do that or no?
I've done that a couple times. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's meant, the way, what you just did, it's meant to do that.
So I'm like wondering, does that guy not know where the middle of the,
It's meant to do that. Okay. Yep, that's definitely on purpose. Okay. 100%.
Yeah, I don't like goalkeepers.
But that's why we just go off to our own corner. We stick together. We do our own training. We make jokes together. Yeah. That's why we go over there because you guys just there's a divide.
Yeah, there's a definite divide.
There is.
How many goalkeepers were on your pro teams in Europe?
We had 3 training. One and only 2 travel. Okay. So you have anywhere between 3 and 4 in training. Okay. The other 2 will train and play with a reserve team, and then 2 will actually travel with the first team squad.
So 2 total will travel.
2 travel.
Teams. Okay.
Yeah, 2 travel.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And were you starting?
Yes, I was starting and playing in Switzerland.
So is there a little weird dynamic between you and your understudy? Because you guys are trained together, practicing together, but
Right.
ultimately she wants your job.
And especially with a goalkeeping position,
Yeah,
there's no
only one.
subbing in and out.
Yeah, there's no subbing, right? Unless
It's
you get
hard.
injured, right?
Right, which you hope you don't, but they're kind of banking on you now.
Yeah.
It's hard being in because I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
When I played for, under Anna Picarelli, I was 19. It's my first pro team ever. I was playing with players on the national team, Whitney Engen, Wambach would come out. So, I mean, I was just floored to start. And the goalkeeper who had been there for a couple years was Anna Picarelli.
Okay.
She was the Italian national team keeper.
Okay.
So in this situation, and she was 28 at the time. So in this situation, there's an understanding that, she's clearly the starting position here. She's got the experience, the age.
Yeah.
She's played in World Cups before. So I'm truly learning from her and thankful for it. This dynamic was great. But when you have two keepers of the same level, really competing head to head.
Same place in their career.
Same place, same age, kind of, it's tough because
it's a competitive situation.
Right.
Right.
Fortunately, as you go higher, there's an understanding that it's a competitive, game, sport, position. There's an understanding that one person's going to play. So, and you're more mature as you go up, through the pro leagues and you're older. So you're able to understand that it's, for the team. But
so basically, you kept on telling the girl, "Hey, I'm playing. All right, kick back."
But it's hard because you want to make each other better.
Yeah.
And you want to, warm each other up and be friends, but
just a weird dynamic.
It's a very tough
Can't
dynamic.
be roommates and best friends then, right? It's just not. It's not typical.
You mean teammates and best friends?
I'm saying the other goalkeeper.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's
the keeper. The first choice and second choice. They're not going to be like roommates.
they're usually friends, but in my experience, I've not seen a lot of goalkeepers who are going head to head be best friends. I could be wrong. There could be some out there.
Right.
I've never seen it, and I've been on a lot of teams, and I've seen other teams. It's pretty rare. I've gotten along with everyone, and I'm proud to say that I'm definitely friends, and I watch their careers continue forth. But it's hard. It's not a forward where you have 2-3 forwards out there.
Yeah.
A midfielder, 3, 4, 5. So the competition is harsh as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
There's one. That's it.
Interesting.
So,
Okay. So now, what are you up to right now? Because you're in, modeling and fashion world.
Yeah.
Right?
So I've worked with, since I've been back, I've been working a lot more. I've done more on the athletic side. I've done a shoot for Reebok and things like this. And I am doing a little bit of the fashion side. But I've always been involved. I have a lot of friends who are in the creative industry, starting either branding companies, clothing companies. I have a ton of photographer friends who have, work independently. I've got some friends who are models and work with agencies. So I've just had an interest in this since I was in high school, really.
Okay.
So, I've never really been here consistently in LA and been able to do that and be in that world. I've always been traveling, gone on the road. Football's been a priority, so I can't commit to anything because I could leave next week.
So then when you were playing abroad and you were, active in your footballing career, you weren't doing modeling in between, or were you?
Not during season.
Okay.
I got to focus on season. Right. There might have been 1 or 2 gigs here or there, but as much as I'm doing it now, no.
Okay.
In season, like I said, you travel every weekend, every other weekend. So there's just, you train, all day, and you can't commit to something else.
But when did you actually start modeling, getting jobs and that?
So I actually worked with Nike when I was in high school.
Okay. That's how it started?
Yeah, that's how it started. They came out for the Women's World Cup, and we did, a bunch of their posters and their media, and they had kind of this idea where it was like the next national team, and I was on that team.
How did they find you?
Just
was it a team or just you specifically?
It was just select players from around, just me, and then a couple other players.
Okay, so they were looking specifically for soccer players.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You got chosen to
yeah,
be in
absolutely.
Their, advertising campaign.
Fortunately, my youth team was very good.
Okay.
So we had a lot of exposure and played at a lot of Nike sponsored tournaments and things like this.
Okay.
Played at StubHub. So, just kind of were in the right place at the right time. Okay. Got picked up by Nike, did a shoot for them. It was, international, worldwide. It was awesome. And then I loved the creative process. I love a bunch of people coming together like a team. And, you've got your photographer, your videographer, you've got your post-production, you've got the director, DOP, you've got everything. So it's really cool to see all the creative processes come together. And then I loved the pressure of having to perform on camera. If you're doing an acting reel or you're doing a photo shoot or you're running or doing a commercial or whatever, there's a pressure. You only have so many hours of the day of sunlight or time, so I think it just was a similar world, as the athletic world was for me.
Similar dynamic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So then right now you're doing modeling as well, but it sounds like you're leaning more towards like athletic brands.
Yeah. I mean,
is that by preference?
Of course. I mean,
Okay.
I'm just in an athletic world.
Okay.
It's been what I've done for the most of my life.
Okay.
I genuinely love it. I have done some other stuff. I've done some other brands. I've done stuff for Etienne Marcel, which is a French denim company. I'm going to Panama in 2 weeks for a music video that I'm filming.
Do you have an agent?
Right now, I'm totally
available, huh?
on my own. Yeah,
Okay.
I like that though.
Right.
I like scheduling myself.
Okay.
I like that I have the freedom to pick what I want to do, and I go to castings all the time. I have a bunch of friends in the industry, casting directors, so they send me out.
I see.
But
So other than that, then how are these other brands like finding you and contacting you?
a lot of times, I'm sent castings by some of my friends who are pretty high up in the industry. I have a couple people who run friends who run agencies, and then friends who are casting directors. So they send me the castings and that they think I fit, the profile for, and then I'll go out for them. But I also, Instagram is a great outlet for marketing and social media. I have a lot of brands contact me over
Through your
Instagram.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I just opened up your Instagram account.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like despite your best efforts, you're getting contacted through Instagram because first of all, you don't really use hashtags at all.
I don't at all.
I know. What's up with that? You're
It's one of those.
Are you not good
don't.
at self-promotion?
Oh gosh,
Or is
calling
it-
me out.
Yeah, or are you like, I'm looking at, some of these.
Okay, so
Like this
it
one doesn't
might
have
be-
anything on the no hashtags.
I
at
don't
all.
hashtag.
Yeah, so how are they gonna? And then it's not like you don't
don't
have a huge
hashtag.
following because
I
you're,
don't.
and I think they go hand in hand. You're not using any hashtags.
I don't
And you're
hashtag at
not-
all.
And then you're not tagging the brands either.
Not all the time. No.
Yeah. So then, okay. So tell me your thought process behind that.
It might just be that I'm not someone who. I love the world of social media. I think it's cool. I think it's great. I think it's this new, way to build companies and yourself and your own brand. But I'm also not a big person on
You have to love yourself as a goalkeeper.
self-promotion.
You told me you
I
have
know.
to self-love. 10 minutes ago, self-love.
I know, but self-loving in a game and reassuring your athletic ability and what you've worked hard for, I think is different than, unless I'm taking, modeling as a serious career as my primary.
Which you are not.
Right now, I'm still focused on athletics.
Okay.
That might change.
So this is like your second priority?
Yeah,
Is
athletics.
it number 2?
I would say
Modeling?
yeah. I would
Okay.
say I do love
Okay.
it. I think you can self promote and really do that when that is your primary career. But there's a lot of people on there self promoting to the point where it's almost intolerable. And I'd never been that person.
You're not into that.
I'm not into that. It's difficult. It's tough for me.
Have you ever had an agency before that you were with?
No, I've always
Okay.
been on the
On
road
your
with
own.
soccer. I've always been
I see.
in other states and countries, and I've never been in one place.
Right.
So it's not been something that I've really been able to do.
You haven't really actively pursued it either.
I have not reached out to anyone.
Okay.
I would love to. I would love to get that started now that I'm back
Yeah.
here in LA
Okay.
and
Well,
really go for it.
hashtag step number 1.
You know what? I do have some friends who are incredible at social media and the whole branding thing. And I've had a lot of criticism and little tips given to me about it. It's tough, to really put yourself out there, not necessarily put yourself out there, but self-promote to an extent of that.
And you know what's also interesting is well, I'll continue to look at your Instagram account.
Go for it.
Yeah.
It is public.
Yeah, it is public, right? So I'm not some creeper. But you don't have too many of the athletic or athleisure type posts as well, right? And you're saying that's your focus. So
It
that's
is
kind of
my
interesting
focus.
too, a little bit, right? Because you have like looking at it, I would think you're.
I don't have a lot of soccer stuff everywhere.
Yeah, you don't have too much
all
soccer
over
stuff.
it.
What would be the ideal type of modeling or brand type of opportunity?
For me, I would love to be definitely the athleisure, where I would love to work for sports brands, upcoming sports brands, yoga brands, obviously running brands, Nike, the major corporations would be phenomenal.
Like a brand ambassador, would that be ideal for you?
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would love that.
Okay. So then with that in mind, though, how come you're not doing as many of those type of?
I've really, I don't know, social media for me has always been maybe not necessarily a promotion, but more of an expression thing for me.
So it's more of just kind of your day-to-day life?
I would say that it's more of that than anything. It's definitely something that I should consider and change as I'm progressively changing more into that world and less of just the player and more of working with brands on the business side, that kind of stuff. Sure. It's something that I'm going to have to kind of move in that direction also. But yeah, I've always used it as, kind of showing what I'm doing traveling, and my, what I'm interested in. And like, I just, posted a thing today of wearing a Tribe Called Quest sweatshirt and, just stuff like that. So I should hashtag.
What's interesting is the one that you did earlier this morning, your makeup artist. Is there her last name?
Yeah. Amy Foyer.
Yeah. Is there a relation?
Yeah.
Okay. So
she
the daughter?
is his daughter.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, and she's really talented. And I'm fortunate to have people that I know that can do that, so she's great. Yeah, she's really talented. So Ian's her dad, and he's who turned me into a goalkeeper.
He is. He's the one that converted you, huh?
He converted me, and he was the only trainer really I've ever worked with. He developed me, and then he's just developed so many goalkeepers, so many phenomenal goalkeepers over the years.
Right? Shout out to Ian Foyer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, interesting.
But
small world. So then she's a makeup artist, and she's his daughter, and that's just kind of like naturally, hey,
Yeah, well, it's cool because as I'm progressively moving more into that world and doing a lot more on camera and on video, I have some people that I know and some good friends of mine who can contribute, in a really easy way to what I'm doing. It's kind of like, a little team. She's usually who I turn to, for makeup and hair, and she's great. I have a couple of friends who are great photographers. Anytime I need anything, they're there, and they obviously.
Are they the ones that are just randomly snapping you while you're strolling through the city?
That's usually whoever I'm with.
Oh, okay.
Those are usually my friends.
Yeah, because they're like, a lot of them are like professional. I can't tell if they're just for fun or they're professional, photography that you did. But then
some of them are.
Hey, Jenny, real quick, can you take a snap?
Pretty much. Okay. Some of them are. A lot of my traveling ones, I usually just go with a friend, and I want to remember where I was. I want to, take in, how beautiful it was. Like there's one with a waterfall. It's one of my favorite photos. So we had to hike down to it, and I just, had her take a couple photos there. So that's part of the reason why I really like Instagram. And that way, it's kind of what I'm doing, where I'm going. I get to look back on it. I get to really take in the places that I go and the people that I'm with in a more appreciative sense, because it's not just I'm in it. I actually am looking at how can I capture this moment? How can I make this moment, as beautiful as it is to me in person? Right. So. Is
that your biggest social media platform then for you, or your favorite? Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
Instagram.
use other ones? Do you use Twitter?
I'm not on Twitter.
Not on Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter.
You have Facebook like everybody, but you're not that active.
I'm on Facebook just with my family, friends, and previous teammates and coaches. Right. That's more of a connection, networking thing. Yeah. But as far as branding social media, it would be Instagram. Okay. Yeah.
So then looking at it, it doesn't look like you're a big party girl either, right?
No, I'm not.
So not a big party. So you don't go out crazy into the LA nightlife?
I don't.
No? What about like premieres and openings and that kind of
stuff?
I
would say that the biggest thing that I go out on is live music. I am a huge music fan.
What kind of music?
It's a whole nother topic.
Heavy metal?
I have gotten into metal before. I'm really into punk rock. I love punk. I grew up listening to punk rock, real punk though. Right. And I transitioned very quickly into underground hip hop. Okay. I
can totally tell.
I'm not a fan. I know, right? And all my sportswear.
Yeah. You're into underground hip hop. Huh?
Yes.
So you like the mumble rap that's been going around lately?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So you're not into the mumble rap.
I am not into anything. I'm not into it. Okay. I think I'm not into new rap at all. Okay. Into that, hyphy party rap, not into it. I appreciate music for its lyrical content and its musical mastery. I was into punk at a young age, just who I was around, and
Did you have like
picked up a CD.
shaved head or dyed hair at the time?
I did have some colored hair. I used to
What colored
wear.
hair was it?
I had some red.
Okay.
I used to wear like bondage pants, spike belt, bullet belt. I used to wear band shirts, cut them up, the whole shebang.
Okay.
Martens.
What kind of shoes? Doc Martens.
Doc Martens all the way.
Okay.
Wow, I'm impressed. So I was really into punk, really into punk, and I still am. I mean, I love punk rock music. Then I moved into hip hop because the message was really the same. It was really anti-corporation, kind of. Not anti-society, but anti-conformity, being your own person. It was really political, which I love. I love politics. I think it's interesting. Don't want to get into it. But no, it's just the message was very individualized. And a lot of it is positive, believe it or not. And underground hip-hop, it's actually really positive, a lot of it. And I love the message. Took talent to lyrically write some of these songs, to write these messages and put words around a beat without profanity, vulgarity, without talking about, some of the same things, topics that these people talk about now and today.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
It was educational.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite artists then?
Clearly, A Tribe Called Quest is one of my favorite artists. Q-Tip, Phife Dawg are amazing. I love everyone from Pete Rock, CL Smooth. I love, it's Hieroglyphics. I love De La Funky, De La Soul. I mean, real hip hop,
So it doesn't sound like none of the newer stuff, really, huh?
I would say that Kendrick is probably one of the only newer hip hop artists that I like.
Okay.
Logic is another one that's pretty good. I think I'm just more into the funky, hoppity beats, and I really. That it's just my ears are just more in tune with it. Okay. I appreciate some of the newer artists. I think some of them are really good. Joey Badass is pretty cool. But primarily, I love underground hip hop. I love old school hip hop, 80s, 90s vibes.
What about electronic? Because it sounds like I don't really go clubbing in as much anymore. But when you go to like Vegas or whatever, right? You have the electronic room where everybody's at, and then you go to the hip hop room and it's like me and 5 other people.
Yeah.
So
that would be me. I'd be with you.
Okay, I'm okay with that because I like hip hop too. Right?
There's a really cool. Speaking of going out, there's a really cool hip hop bar. Okay. It's really rare. Called 82. I think it's 82. Bar 82 down in downtown LA with the arcade bar. Yeah. That thing's awesome, and they actually play good music.
Yeah, they do.
And it's rare to find a bar that plays, or any place that that plays quality music. Yeah. So there's a punk bar called Cha Cha's, and there's another one called Dark Room, and they actually play real good music. They play like Descendants, they play anything from the Smiths. They play Leftover Crack, and they play good bands.
Yeah. Okay. I'm surprised you're saying some of these because you must have been like in elementary school when they came out, right? Like the Smiths. The Smiths are awesome. Yeah. Okay. Smiths are great. Yeah. So you're not into electronic then? I appreciate it. I love music, so I have my favorite genres that I listen to on a consistent basis, but I venture into all music, and I appreciate music when it's, in my opinion, composed well. I do like electronic music. I like more of the deeper house music, the slower music. I'm not really into this, I don't even know what it's called, this pop electronic, super consistent beat music that they have on the radio. I'm not into it at all. Okay. Electronic instrumental music is great. You've got Grammatic, who's phenomenal. You've got some of these other, they're great. I love blues and jazz. Miles Davis, amazing. Old rock and roll, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty. Was never really into the hair metal, but I appreciate it. Led Zeppelin's, these bands are great. These are obviously the main people. So where do you go to these concerts, or some of the venues? Mostly in LA?
Most of the venues that I end up going to in LA are, I would usually go to the Palladium. Okay. They just had Against Me and Bad Religion there. I'll go to the Wiltern, the Mayan, Troubadour. Okay. These are usually the ones that the bands that I listen to and the groups go to. But yeah, so when I go out, I usually go out for a concert. I'll go out for, a drink with a friend, but I'm not really a partier. I'm not really into the club scene. Okay. I never was into it. I accredit that to being an athlete during my party years. College.
Gotta eat clean.
You're in season. You can't be going out. You can't go out at night, stay up till 3 a.m. and then wake up for morning training at 6 a.m.
And then come and stumbling at 5 a.m. and then
no way.
Yeah, because
you do that 3 times.
Job, right?
You do that 3 times. Yeah. You don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Okay. Like it's not. At a very young age, I chose a lifestyle and a life, and I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything else because this was a pathway to what I wanted to accomplish in my dream, and it was worth going out and having a couple of drinks with friends because at the end of the day, I can do that for the rest of my life, but you can't play and you can't really use your prime years to work for that. And an athletic career, like anything athletic, modeling is an athletic career because it's physical. It's your time. You have a time limit, so you can't waste it. And so, along with being drug tested by the NCAA, there are obviously things that keep you from doing that. But it just was never something that really appealed to me.
Okay, but so what are some of the cheat foods that you
chocolate?
You're into chocolate. Chocolate is your weakness.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're into healthy living and
I
eating
am.
clean. You have to as an athlete, right?
Yeah. Well,
you like coffee
it's
too
fuel.
now, right?
I love coffee.
Okay.
France is what
Really?
created my appreciation for coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paris?
I've spent a lot of time in France, all over France, south of France.
Is it the cafe culture kind of thing that got
Absolutely.
you into it? Is
The
that
terrace
why?
cafe culture.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
They really know how to eat there. Their food is phenomenal in France, but
Very rich, right?
so good. Yeah, it's very rich, and it is. But probably coffee, baked goods, chocolate, lots of chocolate, some wine, chocolate. I've never really was into eating junk food though. I'm not really big on super super heavy junk food drive-throughs. It might have been how I grew up. The culture of which my family came from, they don't have any of that there. My family's from Chile, from Chile.
You're full Chilean?
I am 50% Chilean. My mother and my whole family was, on my mother's side, my grandmother was born and raised in Chile.
Okay.
So they came here, she was in high school. They came here for a better life because Chile's not, one of the wealthiest countries. But they don't have fast food there really, at least where they lived in the countryside. It was you made everything, which in turn created this cooking culture, And so when I grew up, my mother, she always cooked everything. We never really went out restaurants yet, but we never really went and got something quick.
Right.
She was good at cooking, whipping something up quickly.
Nice.
So I think it's so important to teach children at a young age how to eat right because that definitely carried through into my adult years. And it's a habit that you can't change at that point.
Okay, speaking of family then, you have siblings?
I have a
You
younger
have a
brother.
Just the two of you then?
Yep.
How many years apart?
He's 21, so
Okay.
we're 4 or 5 years apart.
Okay, so
Yep.
he's 21, so you're 26? Okay. Is he an athlete as well?
He played baseball.
He did?
Yeah,
Okay.
he grew up playing baseball.
He's tall?
He's pretty tall.
Okay.
He played over at Santa Barbara. He now is finishing his engineering degree.
Wow.
And I know they grow up so fast. And he has hopes of starting his own physical training sports company. So more in the gym, athletic training, but not just as a personal trainer, kind of encompassing a whole healthy lifestyle training.
Okay.
So he wants to, deal with the nutrition, help with eating plans, help with lifestyle, help with just everything, the mental side, the spiritual side. Then, of course, the physical side of the actual weightlifting and training and transforming your body. So he's working on that now. That's going to be a long process, but
He graduated though?
he is going to graduate this next spring.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
He's a lot more further along at his age than I was. I had no idea what I was going to do.
Everyone takes their own path.
Yeah, oh wow, okay, interesting.
But
All right,
yeah, so
then-
he's cool. He's doing great.
It's good to hear. So 50% Chilean, what about on your dad's side then?
My father is Scottish,
He's Scottish.
and Spanish.
Okay.
That's where the
So
name
that's the
Torrero
Torrero,
comes
okay.
from. Yeah.
All right.
So on his mother's side, my grandmother, she's from Scotland,
Okay.
and then
You've met her.
yeah,
She's full on Scottish with
she's
accent
red
and
hair,
everything?
freckles.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then her husband, my grandfather, is Spanish. So
Okay.
yeah, it's an interesting mix.
So what's
Chilean,
the
Spanish, Scottish.
Yeah, so what's the home culture life like when you were growing up?
Well, my father was raised here in America, and my grandfather was raised here in America. Both of them came here. I think they were born here or came here at a very young
Okay.
age.
So he's like second, third generation or something.
So he's
like that.
second, third generation American. Is a very old school generation. My grandfather is very, very old school.
Okay.
So, but he's also really rough around the edges. So he, rode a Harley for his whole life, super into motorcycles. Like, he just was a real tough guy. So that translated into my father. Learned a lot from my father, from my grandfather. And so my father's amazing, but very, very tough.
Is that where your love of motorcycles comes from?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
you like motorcycles,
it is.
right?
I do.
Okay.
I do love motorcycles. I do. A lot of my friends ride also.
Okay.
I'm a little chicken to do it though.
Okay. So you don't ride though.
No, but I want to so bad.
So you want the guy to ride and you'll be on the back, or you will be the one?
I'd rather be in control. I would feel safer at then.
So you want him to be on the back?
Yeah, absolutely. Or just nobody by myself.
All right.
But no. So he was always really tough on me as far as expectations and being successful and having a good morale and an ethical character and being a stand-up individual. And so my home life on my mother's side, my mother is just this happy Chilean, just super laughy and emotional and giggly and cooks all the time and just wants to feed you all the time. And
she's first generation too.
She's first generation because she came here from Chile. Yeah. And so she brought a lot of that culture with her, which I love that I'm multicultural. I love it. It's probably what also stemmed my love of traveling, and created it. But my father's side is very old school, very strict. Not strict, but just very determined.
More traditional?
Very traditional. Okay. This created an interesting blend because depending on what I wanted, I would go here or here.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that it gave me an ability to, I had that drive to an extent to actually work for it and be focused and not really sway and not let outside sources pressure me into anything that would take me away from my dream. And I was very traditional and determined in that sense from my father's side. My mother's side, it gave me an understanding and of culture and a better understanding of different people from different cultures and a love of traveling and an openness. So I think I was very fortunate to have two completely different types of cultures growing up.
Did she raise you with Spanish in the house at all?
My grandmother speaks Spanish, and my whole family speaks Spanish, yes. Okay. And but we were taught English in the house, and that was because obviously my father's English, but my father doesn't know Spanish, so that we could speak with him. But like I said, my father is very traditional, and if to become a U.S. citizen, you had to speak English. It was part of the process, and so he wanted, our first language to be English. If we were in France, our first language would have been French, and wherever we went. So my primary language growing up was English. Spanish was something that I learned from my family, and I actually learned French from my education and from living in near France in Switzerland.
Really?
Yeah,
so you picked it up.
Yeah, and then German, I know a couple football directions, but I forgot everything else.
Interesting. Okay. All right. How's the dating life then on that side?
The dating life. Yeah. Oh, geez. That's an interesting question. I was in a wonderful relationship recently with a Frenchman that I met when I was playing overseas. Okay. And we, distance.
Those French guys always get the girls, don't they? It kind of ticks me off. All right, continue with your story. I'm sure it has nothing to do with my issues.
I was just in probably my only serious relationship, adult serious relationship. Through college and during my career, I chose not to date seriously at all because I didn't want any distractions. I wasn't ready. I was so focused on my career, my athletic career and what I was doing. And I was ready to leave at the drop of a hat. If I got a call to Switzerland 3 days later, I was on a plane moving there. You can't really sustain a healthy relationship with someone when they're staying still and you're on the go everywhere. At least not at a young age. At an older age, you're more mature, you can handle it, it's different. But as a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, moving to another country, it doesn't work. So I chose in college not to. Which,
I'm sure your dad was very supportive of that decision, by the way, right?
He was. He absolutely was.
Good job, right? Yes, I fully support you. Okay.
I think this for me was one of the best decisions I could have made because I had no distractions. I was able to make decisions freely without considering someone else because when you're in a relationship, they become a part of your decision as it should be, So, but I was in France and I met a French guy and all those rules changed and I had a great relationship with him. Distance took its toll. We did 3 years long distance.
3 years. Wow.
3 years long distance.
Okay. Because you were never in France for an extended period of time, right? Okay.
No. So
this is when you were in Switzerland.
And Germany, and then I came back to USA. And then I played here, and then traveled with that team. So because he was such a great person, it was worth it to try, and we did, and it was successful. 3 years doing long distance is a successful relationship. Not a lot of people can do that. Yeah. It takes a lot of determination and commitment to do that.
Was he an athlete as well?
He was not an athlete by career. Very athletic person. I can't really be with someone who's not, very athletic, loved sports, loved football, like Arsenal fan. That was our biggest argument.
Oh, I see. He's not like a French poet.
No. But he's an engineer, he's an artist. Okay. He draws, paints, so really great person. Just long distance, it puts a strain and a toll on your relationship. So that ended. And now I'm really in a place where I'm focusing on my recovery, focusing on kind of, am I changing gears? I'm really in a transitional period. I don't think it's a good time for me to get in another relationship right now. I'm in a transitional period, kind of rebuilding myself, seeing, what direction do I want to go to, after I recover. Do I want to go play again? I might be leaving to another country again. I might be staying here, starting a business. I mean, there's a lot of questions in the air right now, which is a very fun, interesting place to be in, but not a stable place for a relationship, in my opinion. Okay. So for right now, I'm just kind of doing.
But you're open to it, though.
You're always open to meet somebody. Okay. You can't be closed off to it. Right. I don't think you should be looking for it either. Right. I think that's important.
Guy needs to, good tips would be
pursue.
Yeah, pursue, right? And
relentless.
With chocolate.
Pretty much.
Maybe get you with some good coffee and
potentially,
a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take me to a foot golf course and I'm sold.
And then, so I would say, my advice to whoever's out there would be chocolate. Nice, good music concert, right? And with some wine and some, baguettes or
that
dessert,
actually sounds amazing.
Yeah, see? Do you ever get like weird guys?
DMs?
Yeah, DMs on Instagram?
Slide in the DMs? Yeah, sometimes.
You do?
Yeah. Okay. For the most part, and I think this is important for females to listen to.
Good.
As your fellow female, I think the message that you put out there is the message that you will receive.
Good point.
For the most part, although I'm very open to, I love the female sexuality, I love the human body, I love expressing yourself in what way you prefer, I support it. I think there is a limitation that you should put onto it if you don't want to receive it back. If you want to receive it back, go for it. Right. But the message you put out, you will receive. Right. And for the most part, I do work a little bit with photo shoots and fashion, and that can, become a little sexualized and hypersexualized, but I don't necessarily put myself out there in that sense. And I try to maintain a sense of respectability while still expressing myself as a female. And I think that because I've put effort into finding that balance and remaining, a respectable person, in my sense, in my opinion, I don't really get a lot of, unsolicited pictures and really crazy messages. The worst thing I would get is just,
hey, baby.
Yeah. No, somebody just, hey, you're so, I want to hang out with you. You're so interesting. And, can we hang out? Just the pressing. But for the most part, I receive some very kind compliments. I've actually made friends with people all over the world. One of my friends is in Pakistan, and he loves motorcycles, and he messaged me and said, hey, I don't mean to come off as, intrusive, but I just really wanted to say hi. Like, a lot of your interests I line up with, and, I've followed you for a while now, and you seem really down to earth, and, you don't have to respond. And I responded because
you put some effort into it.
That's awesome. I love connecting with people around the world, and 90% out of the time, it's people just being kind and complimentary and respectful. And I think a lot of that is how I put myself out there, truly, because I've seen the flip side of people, not just girls, guys as well, who put themselves out there in a different sense, and they get back what they put out. So I think it's really how you portray yourself.
So what's the breakdown versus the percentage of unsolicited messaging, right? Disrespectful versus,
respectful.
Yeah.
I don't receive disrespectful messages very often.
That's good, man.
Yeah, okay. And I will compliment the male race because of it. But every so often, there's some crazies out there. Sure. There's always crazies out there, and every so often, it's really rare though. I would only say maybe not even 10%, 5%, not even. But I don't really tolerate that, on my actual comments and stuff. If I have somebody who says something vulgar, I'll delete it, because you're entitled to say what you want, freedom of speech, your first right, but I don't have to keep that, and it's my freedom to delete it. I don't have to have that kind of message on my wall. Sure. And I think it's also because, I've been an athlete my whole life, and I have a lot of little girls and little boys looking up to me. I'm not just in the world on my own. I have people looking at me. I have people come to my games who come to watch me play, and I coach. I do a lot of coaching as well with Ian, and I coach athletes from 9 years old to collegiate and professional. You have to maintain a level of professionalism. You can't, to a certain extent, obviously you can express yourself the way you want, and I'm happy to push the boundaries. I think I'm one of the female athletes who push the boundaries in the photography world and the fashion world, because I do photo shoots that maybe a lot of other athletes haven't. And I'm proud of that, and I'm happy to be that person, but I still have to maintain a level of professionalism, because at the end of the day, I am a role model. And I would rather be in this position than not in this position. So I'm thankful to have those subtle, unspoken limitations that I put on myself.
All right.
So
that's good. Okay, so what about other stuff in the fashion industry that you're working on? Like, what are you said you act a little bit, and you also do some fashion industry, right? What is it particular in the fashion industry that you do besides modeling?
I just work with like clothing brands. I'll do like shootings with some clothing brands here and there. But I also have taken an interest in styling and potentially making my own line. I don't know if that's going to be in the sportswear world, like the athletic leisure world, or if it's going to be more in just the fashion world. But in high school, and this is not a lot of people know this, but in high school, I used to make a lot of my own clothes. Okay. I would go, to Joann Fabrics and go buy a bunch of, prints that I liked, and I would make my own T-shirts and clothes. I would follow the cuts of other brands that I liked, and I would,
well, for punk rock style, it's not that hard, right? You're just ripping things up, right? How hard is that, right?
Some floss, some tooth floss.
Paint. Yeah, right?
You know way too much. You ventured into that world, didn't you?
No, I didn't, but I know the world,
Okay.
How many holes on your Doc Martens? Did you have like the 3 hole or the boots, like the 10
Well,
hole?
the tights and the jeans and the shirts, quite a few, and you just floss it up and super oi. No, I used to make my own clothes, and I've made, a bunch of my own shirts now that I still wear. And I like it. It's not something that I'm actively working on. Yeah. It's kind of an idea in the making in the process. Something in the back of my mind.
May pursue in the future.
Right. I've always loved it. I love the production around creating the editorials for it, stories for it. Right. I love the branding idea. I really like that, and I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do within that realm. So.
Do you find it hard to go between the two different worlds? You do?
Absolutely.
Because it's like this, right? Night and
day.
Two
vastly different worlds.
Yeah. So it is hard to, your mentality, because you're not like a feminine player either. I've seen you play before, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
not
awesome.
Which is probably good, as a player.
At Urban Futsal?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
really
you're intense.
There's girls that, even though they're really good, I mean, you're not masculine, by the way. I've seen other girls play, and they're like guys.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
But then
they hit hard.
Yeah, but then how some girls, even if they're good, they have real feminine movements.
Yeah.
But you don't really have feminine. You have more athletic movement more than I would say feminine.
I take that as a compliment. I do.
It is a compliment.
As an athlete, I love that.
Yeah. So then, is it hard to go? So my point is they're two different worlds. It's hard to go between the two back and forth. Yeah.
It's not just in the physical sense where it's difficult, and obviously the mental sense. I'm going, in athletic wear, and then in the afternoon I have a shoot, and it's just a completely different change.
Sure.
But it's also difficult in the acceptance.
Okay.
Believe it or not. When you're an athlete, you're expected to have a certain demeanor to an extent. You can obviously be more feminine as a female athlete than others on the team. Everyone's different, but
it's a competitive mindset, right?
I've definitely, unfortunately, experienced a lot of scrutiny and some giggling and commentary for photos and work that I've done. It's not something
on the athletic world.
From the athletic world.
Oh my gosh, you're taking a photo shoot with a person.
Right. Oh, you're in a bathing suit, and this and that.
So they're trying to.
Well, it's just. I think it's so different for them that it's just they're not used to it. Because somebody that can compete with you and hit you on a field.
Right.
and not cry about it can also be this feminine person and get attention in a different way, athletic respect and a different type of attention. And so
until you totally cross over like Alex Morgan, and then it's just like a given.
Well, you know, she's also, you know, got massive amount of following and exposure, but I guarantee, like, you know, there's a lot of, and I know a lot of the girls on the national team personally, and there's still scrutiny.
Yeah, that's true. Because no matter what level you're at, there's always going to be people that are hating on it and kind of not supportive. Yeah.
So that's something that was really, really hard for me as a young athlete. Now I'm, you know, older, more mature, more confident in myself. As you grow older, you become this, you know, but as a, you know, 19, 20-year-old, 18-year-old, it was really difficult for me because here are people that I look up to as a young player.
Right.
Some of these national team players and some of these phenomenal players that I aspire to be. And I respect them and look up to them so much. And here, you know, my other interest is not necessarily fully accepted. That's a tough dynamic to deal with. That's a really difficult thing to balance because you want to impress these people. Sure. You want to perform for them on the athletic field with and against them. And then another aspect of your life, you know, it's not accepted. It's difficult, you know. And then, you know, so you really have to find a place within yourself where this is what I love to do and it's me. And I'm just going to own what I am. That's awesome. And that's what I've developed into. And
what about on the flip side?
On the flip side, it's also interesting. Okay. I'm going to be honest, and this is something that I have found surprising. It's more acceptable from that world, from the fashion, photography, very feminine world, than from the athletic world. And you would think it would be different. Yeah. You would think it would be different because this is such a highly critical world and the physique, you know, of how people look and are. And the athletic world, you would think would be less concerned with that and more just about athletic ability, and they don't care. Yeah, that would be the
opposite.
In my experience, it has not been. I've actually received a lot of interest because I'm an athlete, you know, because I can do both. People are interested because it's different. It's different. Not everyone, you know, played around the world and was a professional athlete and has competed with people and play in the World Cup and then can go do a photo shoot. It's so different for them that it's intriguing and interesting, and they appreciate the fresher breath air, I think. And they also, I think, find different ways to use me. I mean, I can do a running shoot and not look goofy because I have the physique and the length and the lankiness of a model, but I'm coordinated, you know? So I've actually received a more widespread acceptance from this world than the athletic world. And that is something that is interesting to me and obviously should change. But
okay, quick question then. Would you ever do an ESPN The Body Issue?
Absolutely.
You would?
Absolutely.
Okay. And just for the fans out there who they don't know what that is, it's because if they don't, it would be athletes that pose in the nude, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
They don't show anything really, but
no, they don't. Yeah. I think to become that level of an athlete where you're being featured in ESPN Body Issue, the level of dedication and just how you prioritize your life is it's on another level. It's so intense. It's impressive. It's just, it's a beautiful thing. The athletic body, the female, male human body is a beautiful thing. You know, it's, and
some people's bodies, not everyone's.
Yeah, that's true.
ESPN The Body Issue, they're beautiful. Like, the guys and the girls are beautiful.
They're powerful. Yeah. Beautiful, it doesn't even work. Powerful is the word. Yeah. That would be an incredible experience. Right. It would be, I think, just really uplifting, you know, as an athlete, you know, just as a female athlete to be able to show all the hard work that you've put forth, that has your body is your working utensil in your work, you know? Yeah. So it'd be great to showcase that. I think it would be just the coolest thing. Okay. ESPN.
Yeah. Just in case they're, you know, watching, right? Yeah. Candidate 2017. Do you prefer heels then, or do you prefer like?
I have so many high heels. It's crazy.
So you're like a girly girl more
100%.
So than a, you know.
That yes.
Okay.
I'm either in, and it's totally it's just like my two worlds. I'm either in athletic wear with sports shoes, usually all Nike, or I am in high heels, dress, something fashion, some brand that I absolutely loved, something. Okay. Yeah, I'm completely two different worlds.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Because some athletes, even though they dress up and they wear heels and that, they're not comfortable and that's not their normal get up.
Right.
But for you going out, you would love to. You
I love
like
it.
getting up and dressed
Absolutely.
up and makeup
I do it all
and
the
heels.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I follow, lines and brands that are put out, I follow all the lines. I follow a lot of the fashion shows, New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, the whole thing. Yeah, I love it. Milan Fashion Week. I truly love it. I love the expression and
half
creativeness.
it sounds like, right? I mean, right now you're still continuing to pursue your professional footballing career,
Yeah.
but it sounds like in terms of your lifestyle and your interests, it's almost like right in the middle.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's been an interesting dynamic. It's, obviously I have to prioritize because I can't necessarily, I can do both, but I can't do both 100% equally well because this requires ton of commitment, full-time job, the fashion side and modeling and all that kind of stuff. And traveling. You travel with this all the time. Right. I can't do that and then travel for football. It just doesn't work. So I've gladly prioritized athleticism. That's what I worked for my whole life. Is that changing? It could. I'm kind of in that transition place where I can see myself leaning more towards this side now, but I'm still, at the end of the day, I'm still capable. I'm still young. I can still play. And as a goalkeeper, the longer you stay in the game, the better you are because the smarter you are, the more experience you have. Right. A goalkeeper is a fine wine, especially a goalkeeper. Your best goalkeepers are the oldest ones.
Yeah, they play well into their 30s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now that I'm, I've coached for so long now and I've played for so long and I'm no longer that rookie 19-year-old goalkeeper, it makes you want to really see what you can bring to the table as a 26-year-old, 27-year-old keeper. It's a different game. You play smarter. So We'll see.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. What do you have planned for the next 6 months to a year then? What are your future goals and plans? Do you have?
6 months, recovery, rehab right now, just working on getting my back to normal. For a year, I'm probably still going to be in that process, but I'm definitely going to be working more with, the fashion side and doing more shoots and stuff. Since I have the time now, I'm going to be doing, devoting more of my time to that. I can't really play right now. So it's almost a window of opportunity for me to really see where that can go. Okay. After a year, it really depends how well, my pursuing of that side of things goes, and how well I recover physically. If I'm going to play this summer in the USL Pro, we'll see. I've already talked to Carlos, the manager of Santa Clara Blue Heat, and I'm kind of, I've got to see where I'm at. So a lot is on the table. There's a lot of different options in front of me, which is a cool thing. I'm excited about it. I don't really know which direction I'm going to go, but I see some things lay out in front of me, and it really just depends on how my recovery goes. Right. So
yeah, that's first and foremost.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming out today.
Yeah.
It was an awesome conversation.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us on the Urban Pitch Podcast, The Beautiful Game of Life.